Please welcome to the stage Armando Senra, head of iShares Americas at BlackRock, for a conversation with Bloomberg Green's Lauren Keel.
Armando, we are living in a time of massive change, and I know that you guys had a brand new report come out just this morning talking about what of those changes are going to be permanent and what investors can be learning from them. So tell us about the report.
Sure. Great to be here, by the way, great event. What I would say is that what we are talking about is over the last couple of years, we've seen tremendous changes in the world, whether it's the lockdown because of the pandemic. Now we're living with inflation, global supply chain disruptions, of course, the war in Europe. A lot of those changes are going to change our life, economies and industries permanently. So for investors, understanding which changes are permanent and understanding that many of them are underestimated. The impact of those changes is underestimated and therefore mispriced. So they present great opportunities for investments. And there's three areas in the report that we're focusing on. In a sense, the first one is an industrial renaissance. When you think about the lockdown because of the pandemic, it drove tremendous growth in virtual technologies. We believe that now we're going to see tremendous growth in physical technologies. And that means investments in automation, investments in infrastructure, investments in the future of transport. The second one is healthcare. That's one that is intuitive to everyone. When you look at mRNA vaccination or vaccines technology, is something that now everybody's aware of. But it's not just about COVID. There's about 10,000 different diseases that could be cured in the same way. So the future of healthcare has been transformed by genomics, immunology, and neuroscience. And the final one is the power of the new consumer, whether it's millennials, that they're reaching their peak spending years, or emerging market consumers that represent 50% of the global population spending. So I think that those changes, we believe, are permanent and present great opportunities for investors to focus on in the year ahead.
I want to hear more about that third piece around consumers. So how are consumer preferences playing into these investment themes? Yeah,
what I would say is all these investment themes, they tend to be interconnected, and in many ways they emerge together. And they feed on one another. So when I mentioned in the case of the new consumer, whether it's millennials reaching their peak spending years or emerging market consumers, they have unique preferences, and technology is also feeding in those preferences and letting them express those preferences. So a couple of examples that I would give is you have 2.5 billion unbanked in the world. But 60% of them own smartphones. So decentralized, digital decentralized ecosystems really allow a new way of buying goods and services. When you think about these consumers, millennials tend to express a desire for more sustainable food. We have a food problem in the world. We cannot feed enough people. They're expressing a preference for plant-based protein. Well, plant-based protein will have two benefits. One, it will allow us to feed more people with a lot less use of land, water, and of course, a massive reduction in emissions. The other one that I know that we've talked about in this forum before is electric vehicles. So new consumers are expressing an interest in electric vehicles. But think about that one. One, you have reduction in emissions, but then also we have a problem. For instance, here in the US, truck loads across from coast to coast have increased massively. You have a significant shortage of truck drivers. Autonomous vehicles, and those two themes go hand in hand, electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles, will help alleviate some of those issues. So again, these themes feed on one another.
We have just a minute left, so I want to dig into this idea of we've just scratched the surface, the name of our panel. Why do you feel like we've just scratched the surface? What's down there for us to keep digging for?
Yeah, I mean, for us, if we were to do a poll in this room, and we don't have time, but any of these themes that I just mentioned, there would be one or two companies that come to mind to everybody here. What we are trying to do in the offering of thematic ETFs that we launch at iShares is be able to look at the entire global value chain behind these themes. So when we think about electric vehicles or autonomous vehicles, we're thinking not only about the car producers, we're thinking about the sensor producers, the battery producers, we're thinking about the software that allows autonomous driving. So it's looking at the entire value chain. And any of these themes, you have to look at it, small cap, big, large cap, global, and that's what gives you a portfolio that is prepared for the future, investing in some of the themes that are really transforming our lives. And changes, again, goes back to permanent changes that in many ways are mispriced, and we underestimate the impact that they will have on us.
Thanks for giving us a lot to think about in this time of change.
Thank you.
Armando, and
Great to
thank you
hear.
to iShares.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.